Welcome to the Alula webinar. Today we are talking about BAT Connect field installations, how to take over with the ultimate communicator. We're doing something a little different this time. The BAT Connect is a new product on the market, getting a lot of great reception, and people are right now installing them in various panels. And so we want to make sure that you guys have all the information you need to succeed. So what we're going to do today is we're going to actually look at the details of the installation process for both the Honeywell Vista and the DSC, which are two very popular panels out in the market. You're going to run into them a lot. So in this webinar, we're going to cover a couple key topics. First, we're going to look at the panel bus compatibility. We will speak about how to set up the account in Alula Connect, which is an important first step. Then we're going to do a deep dive on the Honeywell Vista programming. Next, we'll move into the Honeywell Vista wiring. Then we're going to switch over and we're going to look at the DSC programming, and then the DSC wiring. Finally, we'll show you how to test functionality for either panel, and we'll save plenty of time at the end for your Q&A. Let's meet our presenter, Chris Bartholomew, sales engineer at Alula. He has 20 years in the security industry. He's worked for ITI, GE Security, UTC Fire and Security, as well as DMP, and joined Alula in September 2019. He's skilled in sales, management, troubleshooting, and training, and he's also our leading expert on BAT Connect installation. Chris, welcome to the webinar.
Thank you, Kevin. Glad to be here.
Before we get started, I just wanted to give a little reminder to those of you at home about Alula. We are the result of a 2017 merger of IP Datatel out of Houston and Resolution Products out of Hudson, Wisconsin. We have 12 years of trusted and reliable security hardware and platform innovation. We were the innovators of the first wireless alarm panel and the first IP-based alarm communications network. And this BAT Connect is the first product that we've come out with that combines the engineering prowess of both companies. It's the best of both worlds, and we're really proud to bring it to market. So now let's talk about the panel bus compatibility. Chris, why don't you walk us through each of the different panels that it's going to work with as of now?
Yeah, Kevin, be glad to do that. So let's talk a little bit about what we mean by panel bus compatibility. Really what we're talking about there is, are we able to give the end user a modern app look and feel, be able to arm, disarm, bypass, get zone information with my Honeywell and my DSC panel. It also means, am I able to utilize our new Alula Connect portal for remote programming, checking the history buffer, adding user codes, changing zone names. So those panels that we're able to get on the keypad bus, and those panels are listed on this slide, the Vista 15, the 20, 21 IP, and various DSC Power Series panels. Those are the panels we're talking about right now. I do want to point out those folks that have used our BAT LTE and our BAT Wi-Fi, this is not the exact same compatibility list. So the latest version of our install manual always has the panels that we've tested and found compatible. So when we say as of today, those are the ones we've tested as of today. We anticipate bringing more panels online, but these are the ones we've tested as of today and found compatible. Now, if we're just looking for the BAT Connect to just forward signals to a central station, well, that's a different compatibility list. And the compatibility list there is really, does that panel have tip and ring, and does it communicate contact ID? If the answer is yes, that's your compatibility list. So virtually anything out there we can work with. It's just really, how's the app experience going to be, and am I able to remotely program a lot of the things that I may want to do.
You mentioned Alula Connect. So the first step is to set up an account there. How would you go about doing that, Chris?
Yeah, so some of you may be not familiar or heard the term Alula Connect before. So the website, alulaconnect.com, is our new partner portal for bringing a BAT Connect, a Connect Plus online. Traditionally, the website that our dealers have gone to has been Alarm Dealer. That Alarm Dealer is still there, it's still active, but really the website that we need to be using to take full advantage of all the capabilities is alulaconnect.com. Good news is it's the same credentials that you used on Alarm Dealer. Okay, so step one, log in like you've traditionally done. And we're going to go right to the Customers tab, upper left on the slide. And once you create that customer, okay, we're going to, if you look on the right side of the slide, you'll see the Add Hardware icon, right? So step one, create the customer, and then we're going to add hardware to that customer's account. And really that's just as simple as entering the MAC address on the BAT Connect, followed by that 4-digit CRC number.
And this is an important step with the master user code.
Yeah, so after you've created the customer, you've entered the MAC address and the 4-digit CRC number, next step would be to create a master user that has the same PIN number or credential as the master code that's in the Honeywell or the DSC panel. Very important step here. It must be, this PIN number must be the master code that is in the Honeywell or the DSC panel. If it's not, you're not going to be able to arm and disarm correctly.
Very important. So first we're going to walk through the steps to program and wire the Honeywell Vista. Starts with the programming. Chris, what are each of these steps? What's this all look like?
Yeah, so even before we wire up the BAT, notice we haven't talked about that yet. So this is kind of what we have to do to get everything ready for the BAT to be wired up. So we're not powering anything down yet. We're just going out to the existing Honeywell keypad, and we're going to verify a couple of steps. Nice thing about the Honeywell Vista series with the BAT Connect is there's really not much to do. It looks like a pretty long paragraph here, but most of what's here is just verifying things, as in if this panel hasn't been touched too much, as in it's sitting in a default condition, which I realize it won't be with zones and users. But most of these features are things that you typically wouldn't program or need to change on a Honeywell panel, like AUI I2 is typically where a Honeywell touchscreen would go. We have four spots for a Honeywell touchscreen on a Honeywell panel. We need AUI 2 to be open. Okay, so if they had a touchscreen on AUI 2 in that spot, we would just need to move it to AUI 1, 3, or 4. Okay, and that's in location 189. Okay, not a lot of Honeywell panels have the remote interactive services, even as a spot for you to go and change. Mine didn't that I was using, my 21 IP, but if it does, we need to go to location 91 and disable that. Keypad lockout, location 188, it's not mandatory that you do this, although it's probably a pretty good idea, especially if we run into a situation where the master code does not match. We can almost guarantee you that you'll have a locked out keypad for a period of time because of that master code mismatch. Remember, we auto-program the Honeywell as well as the DSC panel. One of the things it does is we use that master code a number of times. The BAT does to try to get in and program the locations that it needs to. And if you have a mismatch situation and that lockout feature is turned on, well, you're going to have a lockout condition. So probably a good idea to go in location 188 and make sure that's disabled. Other than that, there's really not much more to do other than follow the wiring and the power procedure that we're going to talk about in the ensuing slides.
You just mentioned it. So first step is to you got to power down that panel. Don't want to get shocked, right?
Exactly. Power down both the battery and the transformer. It really doesn't matter the order that you do this, whether it's transformer first or battery, just as long as they're both disconnected.
Once that's accomplished, you can move forward into mounting the BAT Connect on the wall.
Absolutely, Kevin. One of the nice things about, as you're going to see on the following slides, is we're just using 4-wire hookup on most of the Honeywell panels that we're bus compatible with, and we don't need to use tip and ring anymore. So I know the picture shows a BAT mounted near the can. Where we're from up in Minnesota, a lot of times that's down in the basement. Well, is the basement the best spot maybe for the cell radio, or if we want to add that optional Z-Wave card? It might not be. The nice thing about the Honeywell is as long as you're on the keypad bus somewhere, well, that somewhere might be on the main floor, tapping into the keypad run in the closet near the front door. So it might be a better location as far as cell signal goes. Yes, we can remote an antenna if need be, but if we're able to utilize that better location, especially I think for Z-Wave, which is can be really finicky without a lot of Z-Wave devices, no problem mounting that bat connect anywhere you can tap into the keypad bus, because once again, we're not using tip and ring for our connection. Just also want to keep in mind that center screw installation. You can see from the picture, we've got 2 spots for you to mount the screw, one in the center, one off to the side in the lower left. You can kind of see the cutout there. Make sure you don't over tighten the center screw. We've seen that where guys have over tightened that, and we now have a panel tamper switch on there that can throw off the alignment when you go to close the cover of the bat, and you'll end up with a cover tamper condition.
That's a good tip. So now, how do you do the wiring?
Yeah, pretty straightforward, pretty simple. I guess most guys on the call have hooked up a keypad before on anybody's hardwired panel. So really, we're just doing 4 wires, the same 4 wires you typically do for a keypad or expansion module, to the bat connect. We've got data in, we've got data out, and then we've got our power and ground. So just a simple 4-wire hookup. Notice you'll see tip and ring on the far right side, but once again for Honeywell, don't need to use it.
And then wiring it to the panel?
Yep. So the other end of the 4 wires, just same spot you'd go for typical Honeywell keypad, hardwire expander, right onto the Honeywell bus, ground, power, communication in, communication out.
It's all pretty straightforward. Let's look at DSC panels. It's a little bit more complicated, but not too much.
Yeah, just a couple more steps to look at as far as programming goes. So we're taking a step back now, and we're going back to, okay, I haven't even wired up the bat yet, but now we're talking DSC, right? Okay, so there's a couple things we had to do to the DSC panel to get it ready. So kind of like I think we talked about before, wherever you see enable, so we're talking about enable the communicator, enable the phone number, enable the account number, think, okay, that's something I have to do. Okay, this isn't auto-programmed. This is something you would have to do beforehand, okay? Where it says verify, like verify the first telephone number is enabled in call direct options. It probably is the way you want it already if this system's been up and running, but it doesn't hurt to go and look, right? So once again, verify, you might have to change, depends on what's been done to that panel before. Enable, once again, depends on what's been done before, but if it's a newer panel or it hasn't been changed, it's more than likely something that you'll have to put in there. Okay, so a few more steps to do, but still not too bad.
Of course, we saw this step before. We've got to power down this panel too.
Yep, disconnect battery, disconnect transformer, and then next step is to mount the bat.
Anything different here than the Honeywell panel?
Yeah, just 2 more wires. We talked about the Honeywell, it's a 4-wire hookup. DSC, we are utilizing tip and ring. Okay, so it's probably not too often that you're going to find an extra pair of wires behind a keypad on the main floor. It could happen, but more than likely it's not going to be. So realistically, typically on a DSC install, you probably will be in the vicinity of that DSC panel.
And then how do you actually wire the bat connect?
Yep. So same as the Honeywell as far as the bus connection, power, ground, data in, data out. But we are utilizing tip and ring for our alarm signaling, opening, closing, tests, all of that. We utilize tip and ring to forward that to the central station. So we're going to have 6 wires at the bat connect. And then at the DSC panel, also, we're going to have 6 wires. Top picture is our 4-wire bus hookup. And then on the bottom, we zeroed in on tip and ring, typical DSC panel on the right-hand side of the motherboard. So 6 wires on DSC, 4 wires on Honeywell.
Okay, when it comes time to power up the panel, I understand the order is important.
It's not life and death, but if you want to save yourself, that low battery condition that can happen if you hook up the transformer before you hook up the battery. Typically most panels out there, when you hook up the transformer, it's going to look and test that battery. So good idea to do battery first, and then when you go to apply the transformer and the panel will look and see that good, hopefully good battery voltage. You won't get that low battery condition.
Now this is where the magic happens. Once you've got it powered up, you're going to see the auto programming take place. What are we looking at when we see this?
Yeah, a couple, it's a little bit different, a Honeywell versus the DSC, but at the power up is when the auto programming happens for both. So BAT Connect will auto program what it needs to auto program. So if you take a look at the Honeywell, it says the Vista system will be busy for about a minute after power up, and this really has nothing to do with the BAT Connect. This is just typically how Honeywell systems works. But once that Honeywell panel comes online, the BAT Connect's going to take over, and you can kind of see here what it's going to go and look at. And if you are, the first time you do this, pay attention to the keypad when you power up the Honeywell. After about that minute timeout, you'll see the BAT Connect actually going in, and you'll see your keypad, your Honeywell keypad will start to change because it's going to go in and auto program location 29, 55, 65, 66, and so on. Okay, so you don't have to do anything other than, just take a peek at the keypad and make sure that this is happening. Okay. On the DSC, you don't really see it go in and auto program anything, although that's what it's doing, and that's why your keypads won't display anything, and those keypads will be unavailable during the auto programming time. So it doesn't take long, typically under a minute for this to happen, and then both the Honeywell and the DSC panel will come back online. So once again, we want to power up as our last step, and that's when the auto programming will happen.
And then once that programming is complete, you want to test to make sure you did everything correct. What's the best way to troubleshoot this?
Yeah, couple things you can do here to make sure everything's up and running. If it's an app situation, which hopefully it's going to be, we've got that Bus Compatibility, which gives us a great app experience, very similar to our Connect Plus app experience. But easiest thing to do is, hey, can I connect with the panel with the app? So if you open up the app and you're able to establish that connection, you know that your keypad bus wiring is good. You know that everything's been set up correctly on Alarm Dealer. Next step would be to go ahead and try to arm and disarm that panel. Okay? If your master code is in sync, you'll be able to arm and disarm here. So this, the first couple of weeks here that BAT Connect has been out, some of the calls that we've been fielding are, hey, I can get into the app, but I'm not able to arm and disarm. It just sits and spins. We've had a master code mismatch in that case. So once again, very important that master code matches. But it's something to troubleshoot, that if you're able to get into the panel with the app, make a connection, but not able to arm and disarm, that's one of the things to look for, is that master code not being in sync with what's in the panel. Okay. Another thing you're going to want to check, and just more of an FYI, for the techs on the call today and on the webinar, is if you click on the security icon on the bottom of the app, if you haven't walked around and opened up any zones since the power-up procedure happened on the Honeywell or the DSC panel, you won't see any of the zones. So in order to see them, you need to activate them, trip them, walk in front of the motion, open up all the doors, the windows, whatever it is. Just activate them, and then you'll see them start to show up on the app. So that's one of the things that's throwing some installers for a loop, is they're not seeing any of the zones. The way that the BAT recognizes them is for the host panel to tell the BAT, and that's just by tripping those zones. So then they will show up on the app once they've been tripped.
Great. Thank you so much, Chris. This has been very informative. I feel like I'm ready to go out and install a BAT Connect. We've got some people on the line who may have some questions. Are you able to stick around for a few minutes and help them out?
Absolutely. Would love to.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a good group here, and we've got some questions, but please feel free to keep adding them in the Q&A. Make sure to give me as many specifics as you can in terms of the panel that you're talking about and exactly what you want to know. But let's start from the top. Chris, you there?
I am here.
All right, let's start from the top, Chris. We're going to go through these. John had a question. Do the Bat Connect and all of your communicators work with any panel that has tip and ring or contact ID?
Yeah, great question. Short answer is yes. Any panel with tip and ring, contact ID, it will forward signals to a central station. Okay, and by the way, we are looking at bringing on SIA format as well sometime this year, but contact ID for right now. But really, if you're looking for the app experience, the remote programming, there we're going to be, we're fully compatible right now with the DSC Power Series and the Honeywell Vista Series. So yes, any panel that has tip and ring and communicates contact ID, you'll get full signal forwarding to a central station. The app experience though, and the remote programming, that's where we're, it's bus panel specific. So like we said, DSC, Honeywell today, moving forward, we'll have Concord, we'll have Networks, we'll have NAPCO Gemini by the end of fourth quarter.
Great. We've got good questions continuing to come in. Quick bit of housekeeping. Dean is asking, can we get this deck emailed to us? Yeah, we could probably help you out with that, Dean. Send me an email, kevin.hoffman, Hoffman, @alula.net, and we'll see if we can help you out. I'll also point out that we have got a lot of materials on this on our knowledge base on the website, alula.net. I'll put a link to that in the chat window for you guys, but that's a great place to go to look for stuff. Let's see, Jason. Jason is going to be installing some of these this week, so he's got some really great questions. So let's start with, let's see. The wire distance and gauge was in the papers, so if they can touch on that, what is the best practice or know not to work if lower gauge? Do you know what he's asking about there, Chris?
Yeah, basically how far away from the host panel can I go and at what gauge wire? Actually, I just ran and talked to one of the engineers about this one because we can actually go farther than we could before with the BAT LT and the BAT Wi-Fi. We're only drawing 100 milliamps from the host panel. So we're looking at about 500 feet at 22 gauge wire. And actually one of the engineers just said, you could probably go further than that, but safe bet 500 feet at 22 gauge, you should be fine. Like I said, we're only drawing 100 milliamps now. The lowest draw that we've ever had of any of our BAT communicators.
Okay, Jason had another question about, so there's two product numbers for this. One is -A and one is -V. Chris, could you just kind of explain what's different about those two and which to use?
Yeah, the only difference is going to be that's the cell provider. AT&T is A, Verizon is V. So whatever gives you the best coverage in your neck of the woods, A for AT&T, V for Verizon.
Easy enough. Jason has a question. He's going to be installing these in Larchmont, New York and surrounding area, which he says has a questionable signal for cell reception. What should someone do in a situation like this, Chris, if you've got questionable cell reception?
Yeah, so a couple points to make there. Just be aware that, okay, well, if you got questionable cell, well, we may just be, luckily we have triple path now, right? So we can go Ethernet or we could go Wi-Fi. So you have those two options as well built into the BAT Connect. But maybe you have good cell coverage, but, like I said, you're stuck down in a basement, this, that, and the other thing. We do have a couple of remote antenna options. Back of the install manuals has the exact part numbers, and really we've got a couple off-brand ones that we recommend that you use as well. It's just a matter of connector compatibility. So we do sell a couple of remote antenna options. If you couldn't get the BAT a little bit higher, you can always run a remote. So you have that option as well, but remember the BAT is also is 3-pass: cell, Wi-Fi, Ethernet.
Yeah, that's the great thing about those 3 paths of communication is that if one of them is not good, if you don't have good cell reception, you're still going to have access to IP and Wi-Fi. Always good to have a backup. Bill is asking, I believe this is about Alula Connect. What phone number do you enter? Do you remember that part, Chris?
Yeah, I think may be referring to, we tell you to put a phone number in the panels. Really, the phone number that you're putting in the panel, that's just a dummy number. You can put anything you want in there. That's just so the bat sees some dialing going on. Now, the actual central station information, that's entered on our website. That's where you're going to put your central station information, either IP to IP, or we can do a phone line as well. That's done on Alula Connect, and there you would have to have the correct either IP address or phone number for your central station. But as far as putting something in the panel, it's just a dummy number that you throw in there.
There you go. Mike has a question. He says, I am more concerned with the panel settings that need to change. Chris, can you talk a little bit about what panel settings need to change?
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, we'll have the slide deck available. I know we went through it kind of quickly, but it is in the install manual too. Yeah. Long story short, the Honeywell, it's really just making sure that AUI2 is open. And typically if you had something there, it would be a touchscreen, a Honeywell touchscreen. So that's really all that needs to be done to the Honeywell side. If you have Remote Interactive Services, RIS, for Honeywell, you got to turn that off. And then that keypad lockout, even on DSC, it's a good idea to disable that feature. Now on DSC, there's, you know, probably a dozen things that you have to change. So there is a little bit more to do with the DSC panel, but you know, review the install manual. You know, it's in that paragraph that's all grayed out. Not much on Honeywell. A few more steps to do on DSC.
I mentioned earlier, Jason is going to be doing some Bat Connect installs this week, and he says that for the first time, these are going to include some installs that don't include a phone line. So he says, with Honeywell and the IGSM, we mostly did 21IP for those, the primary communications path has been the telephone company, with the others as secondary. Both did our weekly communication tests. What if we don't have a telephone line or want to eliminate it?
Yeah, not a problem at all. Actually, most, you know, I gather most installs these days don't have a phone line. So you have an option in programming to use the BAT as primary or the BAT as secondary. So no problem either way. If you have a phone line, great. If you don't, the BAT will do its thing. So you can tell the BAT that should only work in case the phone line fails, or if you don't have a phone line at all, BAT will be the primary means of communication.
Okay, Dwayne asks, can your technical support walk us through anything that may come up in regards to installation?
Yeah, absolutely. Our tech support team is up to speed and should be able to walk you through any problems you might have.
What's the best way to get in touch with our technical support team, Chris?
Tech support, 1-888-88-ALULA. Is probably the best way. And you can probably get a hold of anybody at Alula. You know, get a hold of myself, Kevin, whoever. Just call that 1-888-88-ALULA phone number, and we'll be happy to help you with any questions you have.
Okay, Mike asks, are the pre-steps for both panel lines in the manual?
Absolutely. The actually preparing for this webinar, my copy is pretty worn out, but everything you see in this slide deck was directly taken from the install manual, which is available on the website. Not bad. It's only about 5-6 pages, but it's all there for you.
Great. Christopher asking a good question. What keypad slot does the Bat Connect take?
Yeah, it actually on Honeywell, it takes up the second touchscreen spot. Most Honeywell panels, I believe, you can use 4. That's that AUI2 spot that it takes up. And on DSC, it takes the 8th keypad spot. So Honeywell, it takes a touchscreen spot, the second touchscreen, and on DSC, it takes the 8th keypad spot.
Great, Christopher. Thank you for that question. That's we love getting into those kind of technical details. David asks about the Concord 4. What can you tell us about compatibility for the Concord 4?
Yeah, good question. I have my sheet with me. I can give you a couple tidbits of information as far as what we're looking at Concord 4. And maybe I'll just throw some other ones out there as well. Networks, Concord, Compatibility as far as full-blown app, right? Sometime fourth quarter of this year. NAPCO Gemini, first quarter of 2020. The virtual keypad. Now, what this is, we talked about this on previous webinars, but probably a lot of you weren't on there. And we've always had this with our BAT LTE and our BAT Wi-Fi, but this would be basically, it's a web page on our installer portal, which is just a interactive keypad for Honeywell or DSC. We've got Honeywell today. DSC, hopefully we will, third quarter for the virtual keypad. Okay, why would you use this? If you knew how to get into programming, let's say you're on site, right, with a Honeywell, a DSC, whatever, and you knew the steps to get in through that native keypad, we've just taken that and we've thrown it on a website. So the idea is I can arm, disarm, get into programming, change users. Actually, changing users, we have a easier way to do that on Alula Connect. We just have a tab for users. So mostly this is for remote programming, okay, the virtual keypad for the installer. DSC, Networks, NAPCO, fourth quarter, 2019. I think I said third quarter, but actually we're looking at fourth quarter for DSC, Networks, and NAPCO. Native software. So here we're talking Compass for Honeywell, PC Link for DSC. We're looking at fourth quarter for that as well. So you've got the virtual keypad as an option, but hey, if you're a guy who knows that Compass software really well, and that's your go-to, we're going to let you use the BAT Connect as a link using Compass, using PC Link to get into those panels. And there we're looking at fourth quarter as well. Networks and NAPCO, probably first quarter of 2020. Concord, still to be determined on that one. That'll be the last one that we have compatibility with, so stay tuned for that one as well. So kind of a long-winded answer there, but I wanted to touch on some of the other panels as well. And by the way, all this release date information is on our website, alula.com, under resources. And actually, even before you get to resources, we have a section just for BAT Connect. The release dates, the firmware updates, when are we adding touchpad support, when are we adding Z-Wave support, it's all there as far as dates go. So if you miss me talking kind of fast over that, you can go to the website and find out all that information.
Yep, and you can find that information at alula.net/bat-connect. I've also included that link in the chat box. So you can just right-click on that and open a new window, and you should be able to get right to our hub for all the questions you might have. But let's keep going here. Mona asks, how many contacts zones can the BAT Connect support?
Yeah, good question. So actually the BATs, they don't hold any zone information, right? So we have a line, you might be thinking of our translator line, or even the Connect Plus, which actually houses zones. We don't house any zones with the BAT Connect. We're just forwarding signals. So really it's, however many zones your panel can support. All the BAT's doing is just sending that information on. It doesn't actually house any zone information. So you're good to go there.
We've got another question from Jason. He's the one that's installing these this week, so he's getting his questions out there early. Jason, we'd love to help with this, and we'd love that you're an early adopter. We'd love to hear feedback from you once you've done the installations, how it worked out for you. But he has this question: How does bringing into the app work with the case of an existing Vista and Fire devices? Do they have to be tripped? We would test everything anyway, but just wanted to check. Does there have to be an alarm, not a trouble?
So I'm going to give you a long answer on this one. Just want to make everybody clear. The question mentioned Fire. So the BAT Connect is not a UL commercial Fire communicator. Now it'll forward on, resi, smokes, carbon, whatever. But just be aware that that's something we're looking at, but it's not approved for commercial Fire, okay? If it's resi, commercial Berg, whatever, we're good to go there. If you had Fire devices on it, yeah, we just have to see a trip, whether it be an alarm or a trouble. either way is fine. That's just, the panel has to give us that, the host panel just has to give us that information either with a trouble or an actual alarm. Either way is fine, then the bat will see it.
And I think you mentioned this in a previous answer, but it bears repeating. Is the time frame for Compass integration still on target?
Yep, we're still looking at fourth quarter of 2019 for both Compass and PC Link.
Got it. Christopher Robel asks, how about supporting SIA, specifically for DSC Power Series panels? They don't auto-program CID reporting codes.
Yep, so that is one of the steps that you have to do in a DSC panel is turn on contact ID. We are going to support SIA, but not today. So, going forward, got to do one this week. That is one of the steps that we outline in the manual is to turn on contact ID. I think you got to go 04, right? It defaults 03, make it be an 04 for contact ID. But yeah, that is a step that you have to do.
Okay, Robert asks, do I need to enter my CRC and MAC address into Alula Connect?
Absolutely. That's the first step. Guys, want to make sure that we're all clear on this. What you really don't want to do is, the folks in the office hand you the back connect and go, okay, go install this thing today. If they haven't gotten it online yet, you're going to run into problems when it comes time to, turn the app on for the customer. It's not going to work, right? So the first step should be either you're doing it or somebody in the office who typically handles this is entering on Alula Connect the MAC address and the CRC, even before probably you roll the truck to go out there and install it. Get it online with Alula Connect, because what happens at Power Up, the Bat Connect reaches out to Alula servers, and that's kind of when the magic happens. So if you power it up and the bat hasn't been registered yet, it's just not going to work, right? So first step is go to Alula Connect and register that panel, create the customer, enter that MAC address and that CRC code.
Great, Christopher, with another question, and this is a great one to get into, Chris, is what are the advantages of using Connect Plus over a Bat Connect when dealing with an existing hardwired alarm system and expanding it to a whole automation system? So this is an important point of differentiation. A lot of people don't recognize or realize that Connect Plus can also be used for takeovers like this. So if you're looking at that, which product is better and what are the differences?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a tougher one to answer simply because, if we didn't have the Bat Connect out and you were to ask me about the Bat LTE and the Bat Wi-Fi, I would go, oh, well, the Bat LTE and the Bat Wi-Fi, they don't have home automation. They don't have touchscreen support. Well, guess what? Now the Bat Connect does. So it's getting more Connect Plus-like. By the way, for those who don't know what the Connect Plus is, that is our Alula panel, 96 zones, 50 user codes, hardwire, wireless. It's its own system, right? Where the Bat is kind of, okay, you're using what you have, that Honeywell, DSC, Concord, whatever, and we're just forwarding signals. And yes, we can give you a touchscreen on that traditional panel soon, next quarter. Home automation next quarter. On that existing panel. The app experience is almost identical to Connect Plus. It's a little tougher question now to answer because the similarities are very similar between a Bat Connect and a Connect Plus. Mention the home automation, mention the touchscreen. The app experience is, if we were to put them side by side, you probably wouldn't be able to tell which one's a Bat Connect versus which one's a Connect Plus, just because they look similar now. So yeah, tough one there. I would say they're really close as far as capabilities go. Maybe a reason to take a Bat Connect over a Connect Plus, well, Connect Plus is 96 zones. And that's pretty robust, but if you add more than 96, we'd have to put another Connect Plus in to handle anything over 96, 50 user codes. Right now, the Connect Plus has one partition. If you had a multi-partition system, probably want to go with a Bat Connect. So there are a few differences between them.
Okay. Bill asks, what module does it enroll in on a DSC panel?
The 8th keypad address.
Short and sweet. Here's John again. John, hey, how you doing, man? I remember you from a couple previous webinars. Love to see you coming back for more. He asks, so do I not have to log into alarmdealer.com anymore? Can I exclusively use alulaconnect.com?
Great question. So what we are looking for our dealers to do is migrate to Alula Connect, especially with a Bat Connect. You really need to be using Alula Connect versus Alarm Dealer. For instance, Alarm Dealer doesn't have a lot of the programming features that Alula Connect does just for the Bat. Like I can go in, turn on, turn off, panel tamper, cover tamper. Those things aren't in Alarm Dealer. However, that's Bat Connect. If you still have existing Bat LTE and Bat Wi-Fi and you had a DSC panel, we have virtual keypad support on Alarm Dealer for DSC. We've had it, for a long, long time, and we still have it now. That would probably be the only exception, where if you had an older Bat, okay, and it was a DSC and you wanted to use the virtual keypad, that is there for you. Alula Connect has virtual keypad today for Honeywell. DSC next quarter. Okay, so other than that one exception, I'd be using Alula Connect for everything. Connect Plus, Bat Connects, and even if you weren't interested in using virtual keypad on the older Bats, go to Alula Connect. It's a newer interface. It's just a better look and feel, more functionality other than older Bats, DSC, virtual keypad. That's about the only reason to keep using Alarm Dealer.
Okay, Christopher asks how to take over a locked out DSC panel without the installer code.
I was waiting for this question. Okay, DSC panel, you're out of luck. Simply because you have to get in and change, those handful, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things. You need the installer code to do it. So you'd have to, I'm not a big DSC expert, but I believe there's a way to, you'd have to default the panel, come in from scratch. Okay, that's the bad news, DSC. Honeywell, good news is, unless AUI2 you already have a Honeywell touchscreen there, which I guess most days you don't, we don't care about the installer code matching on Honeywell because we don't need it. You don't need to go in and do anything else. So it's kind of a 50-50 shot there. If it's Honeywell, you're probably fine if the panel's locked out. If it's DSC, we need that installer code to get in and program a few spots.
Christopher's asking for a clarification on something we talked about earlier. Is Bat Connect UL listed for residential household fire?
Currently, we are working on those listings. It does not have the UL listings currently. Our Connect Plus does. But we are going through the process right now to get those UL listings for resi household fire. The Connect Plus has it right now. The Bat Connect does not.
Okay, Jason has he's actually helping us out with some of these answers. We had talked earlier about Connect Plus or Bat Connect, and he says, I believe this is a response to that, fire would push you to do a DSC or Honeywell with a Bat Connect, wouldn't it? Or you can do a Connect Plus as an additional panel. Later, the latter would be 2 systems, or is there a way to show them combined?
Okay, so let's tackle this one. I think I know what we're getting at here. So I think I mentioned before that just be aware, the Bat Connect will forward the signals, but it is not approved commercial fire, and we're probably not going to get that listing on it yet. Could I do two of them, and could I link them together? Yeah, you could. You could do a Connect Plus and a Bat Connect. Actually, on my app, I have three Bat Connects and 2 Connect Pluses all linked to my account. That's not a problem doing that. It's just a matter of when you open up the app, you press a little button on top, and you'll get a drop-down list of all of your Bat Connects, Connect Plus. You can even throw a Bat LTE or a Bat Wi-Fi on there. So, yeah, you can pick and choose when you go into the app whatever one you want. Showing them combined is, you just got to hit the little drop-down menu, and it'll pop up.
And I think this is the last question coming from Phil. Can customers access partitions on the app using the Bat Connect?
Currently today you cannot access other than partition 1. The bats will report all partitions to the central station, but currently it is just support for partition 1.
Great. Thank you all for attending. Be sure to be on the lookout for future webinars that we have coming out in August. We've got a bunch of good ones. Jason, good luck on your installs this week. Get back in touch with us. Let us know how it went. If we didn't get to your question, you can call us at 1-888-88-ALULA, or you could go to alula.net/bat-connect to find more information. Chris, thank you so much for all your help. Very thorough answers. I really enjoyed it.
No problem. Thank you.
That does conclude today's conference. We thank you for your participation.
All right, guys.